Unveiling the Veil of History, Traces of Islam in the Life of the Majapahit Royal Family. The Majapahit era was a crucial period in the history of the Indonesian archipelago, when the Hindu-Buddhist kingdom reached the peak of its glory. However, what may be less well known is that Islam also began to flourish during this period. In this narrative, Jatim Times will explore historical evidence that demonstrates the presence of Islam during the Majapahit era, which lasted from 1297 to 1527. Historiographical data confirms that the first Islamic king in Java was Arya Wiraraja, king of the Lamajang Tegang Nuru kingdom. Arya Wiraraja lived at the end of the Singasari kingdom and helped Raden Wijaya establish the Majapahit Empire. Long before Demak, Lumajang became Islamic around the end of the 12th century AD, when the kingdom on the Horseshoe was led by Arya Wiraraja. After Lumajang, subsequent Islamic kingdoms emerged, such as Surabaya, Tuban, and Giri, before Demak was finally established with Raden Patar as its first king. Arya Wiraraja, son of Nararia Kirana, held an important position as Demang in the Singasari kingdom. However, his relationship with Sri Kertanegara became strained when the king attempted to expand his territory and spread the Tantrayana religion to Sumatra. Arya Wiraraja, a Muslim, opposed teachings that conflicted with Islam and was eventually demoted to the position of duke in Madura. The presence of Arya Wiraraja's tomb in Biting Hamlet, Kuto Renon village, Sukadana district, Lumajang Regency, which is still visited by many people, indicates that the family practiced Islam. Several assumptions have arisen regarding this religious difference, including its influence on Sri Kertanegara's actions towards Arya Wiraraja. Family vacation packages. In addition to the Biting site in Lumajang, another strong piece of evidence indicating the presence of Islam during the Majapahit era is the Tralaya burial complex in Traloyo, Mojokerto, East Java. During the Majapahit period, 1293 to 1527, Muslim traders and Islamic missionaries began to enter the archipelago. This occurred alongside the spread of Islam from the west to the Indonesian archipelago. The tombs at Traloyo, estimated to date back to 1376, are located near the center of the Majapahit capital, Trowulan. The presence of the Tralaya tomb complex is strong evidence that Islam entered and flourished during the Majapahit era. On Groeneveldt's first visit to Indonesia in 14 AD, the renowned Chinese navigator Xing He discovered Chinese Muslim communities living in Tuban and Surabaya. According to Fr. Herth Rockhill in Chao Ju Kwa, his work on the Chinese and Arab trade in the 12th and 13th centuries, entitled Chu Fang Kai, which quotes Haji Marhuan, who accompanied Xing his 7th expedition in 1376 AD, there were three groups of people throughout northern Java: Chinese Muslims, local Muslims, and indigenous people who still adhered to traditional beliefs. At that time, although Islam was not yet widely practiced among the indigenous population, archaeological evidence suggests that some members of the Majapahit royal family and high-ranking officials, at the peak of its power in the mid-14th century CE, had converted to Islam. This evidence can be found at the Tralaya Islamic tombstone site. Furthermore, the presence of the Masjid Agung, Great Mosque, in Bubat Field, as recorded in the Kidung Sunda, also confirms the presence of a Muslim community during Majapahit's heyday. According to Charles Darmea's research in Etudes Javaneses I, les tombes musulmanes de Tralaya, the tombstones in Tralaya use the Soccer calendar and Old Javanese numerals, rather than the Hijri calendar and Arabic numerals. This indicates that those buried in these tombs were Javanese Muslims, not Muslims from outside Java. Family vacation packages. In Javanese history, it is said that the daughter of Arya Lembu Sura, a ruler of Surabaya, was married to the Majapahit king Brawijaya, who was also a Muslim. This indicates that Islam was already present among the Majapahit rulers. Furthermore, based on his name, which contains the word Lembu, it is certain that this Muslim ruler of Surabaya was related to the Majapahit king. Besides Arya Lembu Sura, several other Muslim figures were also known in Surabaya at that time, such as Ki Ageng Bukal, who ruled the Bukal region south of Surabaya. There were also Pangeran Reksa Samudra, a Majapahit naval admiral who embraced Islam, and Ki Bang Kuning, an official who ruled the northwestern border region of Surabaya. In historiographical sources, King Brawijaya V, named Sri Kertawijaya, is said to have married a Muslim woman from Champa named Darawati. Darawati arrived in Majapahit bringing heirlooms, a cart named Kiai Jabat Betri and a gong named Mahisa Lorung. Darawati's tomb can still be found in Trowulan, within the Majapahit site. Another piece of evidence indicating that Islam was already widespread during the Majapahit era is the discovery of a gold coin inscribed with the Islamic phrase La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. While it is uncertain whether this coin was used as legal tender in the Majapahit kingdom, this discovery strengthens the belief that Islam had an influence in the region. The coin is now housed in the Majapahit Museum. Family vacation packages. It is important to remember that during this period, the Indonesian archipelago was a vital trading center, and various cultures and religions intersected there. Chinese coins have also been found in Majapahit, indicating close trade ties between Majapahit and China. This indicates that Majapahit was a center of cultural and religious exchange, including Islam. One historical source that records the presence of Islam in Majapahit is the Yingyarisinglan, written in 1416 by a Chinese historian. This report notes that at that time, Java consisted of 4 important cities, including Majapahit. Ships from various regions came and went to these cities. The report mentions 3 groups of people living in Java. First, followers of the Prophet Muhammad, namely Muslims who came from the western region. Second, Chinese people from Canton, Changzhou, and Chuanzhou, and third, the indigenous population. This report provides a clear picture of the presence of Muslims in Majapahit at that time. With the presence of Muslims in Majapahit, the process of spreading Islam during the Majapahit era is believed to have progressed. They brought Islamic teachings and influenced local culture and society. The Majapahit era was the golden age of the Hindu-Buddhist kingdoms in the Indonesian archipelago. However, historical evidence suggests that Islam also flourished during this period. From the Tralaya burial complex to the discovery of gold coins inscribed with Islamic inscriptions, as well as news from China, all provide a strong indication of the presence of Islam in Majapahit. Surprisingly, long before the Majapahit Empire was founded, the entry of Islam into the Indonesian archipelago began with the arrival of Arab and Persian traders in the 7th century CE. However, Islam did not spread widely among the indigenous population for another 8 centuries. It was not until the mid-15th century, with the advent of Islamic preaching spearheaded by Sufi figures known as the Wali Songo, that Islam began to be widely accepted and adopted within Indonesian culture. Although historical data for that period largely comes from historiographical sources and oral traditions, the map of Islamic propagation at that time began to emerge through kinship networks between sacred Muslim figures. They replaced the role of important non-Muslim figures who had been influential during the late Majapahit period. This marked a significant shift in the religious and cultural history of the Indonesian archipelago.